Okay, so what do we have here? This time we're looking at a gunpowder tester. This particular kind was invented in France. It's called an Eprouvette, something like that. But the one we're looking at here, and the one I got to see, is from Belgium. These have been around since the late 16th century. I mean, gunpowder testers in general, not this kind of pistol type. And the idea was, as you can imagine, to test gunpowder. So gunpowder, is a composition, it's a mixture. You can't just dig it up out of the ground. It's kind of produced from a combination of different ingredients, so you can get various kinds of gunpowder. Think of it like as different recipes being used, right? A little bit more of, sulfur in this mixture versus this other one over here. And because of that variation, you want to be able to test batches of gunpowder and see how effective it is. So that's what this one does here. That's what they all do. But they started off more simple, as you can imagine. Something like this. There's different kinds, but something like this. And this makes more sense, right? You can see the basic idea here is put the gunpowder in there, fire it off. It's going to push that lever up, thereby turning the wheel, and the more it turns it, the more potent your gunpowder is. It's the expanding gas created by the gunpowder explosion that actually propels a bullet. So that's what it's kind of measuring here, is the force of that gas coming out. Now in this particular model, here's the maker's mark, right? It's always cool when we have one of those. I think it was supposed to be a lion's head for this one in particular. But this one overall, one, it's kind of that pistol type, as we talked about, because you don't have to have that in order to test gunpowder. And another, it's well made, and it's got some decorative work on multiple sides. Here's just one of them. You can see that scroll work. So this was, a fairly high-end one, I would imagine. Those flourishes certainly have nothing to do with the effectiveness of this, and it really is just a tool, as opposed to kind of the weapons, I usually look at. But it's kind of a weapon too, which is really interesting, right? See that big long lever? I think this is your first good view of that, of how it joins there with the wheel. So when you pull that in, when you depress it, then you can turn that wheel yourself. And you can see how the further back you go, the more it looks like just a normal pistol of the time. And speaking of that, there are others that are functioning pistols, like an actual weapon at the same time. It seems kind of weird to me, or you're in a tight spot if you're having to use this thing to defend yourself, but some of them did have long enough barrels or modifications to where it was an actual weapon as well. So here's the wheel, nice and up close. Everything's in pretty good shape, right? Rust-free. There's the walnut grip, again, kind of pride of ownership type item, very nice looking. And that's it. I didn't know anything about these until I saw this one, so if you didn't know a thing about these until now, hope you found this informative. If you did, then you're probably noting all the things I left out. But it's just a cool little piece of firearm history. Thanks.